The Hermit's Path. Every life follows a path. Most people move through their days without thinking much about the small habits that guide them, the words they speak, the choices they repeat, the routines that quietly shape who they become. The Hermit's Path is a place to slow down and look at those small things. In this series, we explore simple ideas and practical steps that can help bring a little more awareness and intention into everyday life. Nothing complicated, just thoughtful ways to live a little more deliberately, one small step at a time. The quiet doorway of a book. There are times when solitude can either open the mind or shrink it. That may sound strange coming from someone who values solitude as much as I do, but I believe it is true. Being alone can give you room to breathe. It can give you room to think. It can help you step away from the noise of other people's opinions, demands, and expectations. But solitude still needs windows. For me, books have always been one of those windows. A book is not just paper, or pages, or words lined up in neat rows. A book is a doorway. It is a quiet way of leaving the small circle of your own daily thoughts and stepping into another life, another time, another mind. And sometimes that is exactly what we need. Because left to itself, the mind can become a very small room. We think the same thoughts over and over. We replay the same conversations. We return to the same worries, the same resentments, the same old fears. We wake up inside the same pattern and call it truth, when sometimes it is only repetition. That is why reading matters. A book interrupts the loop. It says, come here for a while. Walk through this other world. Sit beside this other person. Listen to what they saw, what they feared, what they survived, what they understood. Books remind us that our thoughts did not begin with us. We are shaped by family, by culture, by history, by place, by wounds, by longing, by everything that came before us. We carry voices inside us that we did not choose. Some of them helped us, some of them harmed us, some of them need to be questioned. Reading gives us a way to do that. It gives us distance. It lets us see that the world we were handed is not the only world there is. For queer people, I think this can be especially powerful. Many of us grew up inside stories that did not make room for us. We were told who we were supposed to be before we had the language to understand who we actually were. We inherited expectations, roles, silences, and shame that were never truly ours. Then one day, maybe through a book, we found another voice, a character who felt familiar, a sentence that opened something, a life that proved there was more than one way to exist. That is not a small thing. Sometimes a book becomes the first place where you are not strange. The first place where your quietness makes sense. The first place where your longing has a shape. The first place where you realize your solitude is not emptiness, but a room you can furnish with meaning. Books do not always give answers. Sometimes they give better questions. They ask us what kind of life we are building, what kind of person we are becoming, what voices we have mistaken for our own, what parts of ourselves are still waiting for permission to speak. And unlike the noise of the world, a book does not usually shout. It waits. It waits on the shelf. It waits on the table. It waits beside the bed. It waits until we are ready to enter. That patience matters. We live in a time where so much of life is quick, loud, and disposable. We scroll, react, consume, and move on. We take in information without letting it settle. We hear 1,000 voices in a day and still feel starved for something real. Reading slows that down. Reading asks for presence. It asks us to sit still long enough for another mind to unfold in front of us. It asks us not just to consume, but to listen. It asks us to give our attention to something deeper than the noise of the moment. That is one reason books fit so naturally with solitude. Solitude gives us the quiet. Books give that quiet somewhere to go. Without books, solitude can turn inward too tightly. With books, solitude becomes a path, a trail through memory, history, imagination, grief, wisdom, and wonder. You can sit in one chair and still travel centuries. You can live far back in the woods and still walk through ancient cities, old battlefields, forgotten rooms, distant countries, and private hearts. You can be alone and still be in conversation with the dead, the living, the imagined, and the unknown. That is a kind of companionship too, a quiet companionship. The kind that does not demand small talk. The kind that does not interrupt your peace. The kind that meets you in the silence and leaves you a little larger than it found you. I do not think everyone has to read the same books. I do not think reading should become another performance, another way to prove we are smart, cultured, deep, or impressive. That misses the point. The point is not to collect titles. The point is to let your inner world breathe. Read what opens something in you. Read what steadies you. Read what challenges the thoughts you have been carrying for too long. Read what helps you see your own life from a different angle. Read slowly if you need to. Read one page. Read one paragraph. Let one sentence stay with you while you make coffee, walk the dog, stack wood, wash dishes, or sit quietly by the window. A book does not have to be rushed to be useful. Sometimes the right sentence at the right time can do more than an entire lecture. It can loosen something. It can name something. It can remind you that you are not trapped inside the narrow version of the world you were handed. That, to me, is part of the hermit's path. Not escaping life, not hiding from the world, but choosing carefully what enters the mind. Choosing voices that deepen us instead of drain us. Choosing quiet that expands instead of isolates. Choosing books that help us remember we are part of a much larger human story. Because solitude should not make the world smaller. It should make the inner world richer. And sometimes all it takes is opening a book, stepping through that quiet doorway, and letting another life walk beside yours for a while. Walking the hermit's path doesn't require dramatic change. Most of the time, it begins with something small, a new habit, a different way of thinking, or a simple choice made with a little more awareness. If something in this episode resonated with you, consider giving the video a like and sharing it with someone who might also appreciate the idea. And if you'd like to continue exploring simple ways to live more intentionally, be sure to subscribe and join me again along the hermit's path.